Les, man, thanks so much for coming on the show here today. Super excited to have you on. Could you start by just telling us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, thanks for having me. I do bad at this part because I usually go too deep. And then it's like, oh, 40 minutes of the show was like Les talking about his kids. So, so I'll be brief on here. But I'm a coach, obviously. This is my 10th year. I'm getting old. I'm getting up there. I'm 34 now.
Oh, man.
But I had an interesting journey just to get into coaching. I had a broken femur, which left me basically not able to run, and took that as like motivation to prove everyone wrong at first, like kind of like this anger response, and ended up learning how to run, but also walking onto a Division I track team. And I got there and I was like, yo, like they're going to teach me everything about running. I'm obviously going to become an Olympian. Like I was like, everything is in this. And, quickly found out that's not how college track and field programs run. They're not built to develop necessarily like your talent. They're there to really just manage talent in a lot of ways. And so I spent a lot of nights, in the library looking for speed books and on Google and on YouTube that just first came out. That's crazy to think about. Like YouTube just come out when I was in college. So I'm on that early YouTube. So you type in speed training in early YouTube, like, man, it was bad. So I was like, you know what? I feel like I knew at that point, like my athletic career was probably not going to go past college. And I dived into coaching like almost right away. And I was 22 years old. I was, halfway broke, halfway homeless, and trying to figure it out and interning different spots. And I felt like there was a huge gap in the market because at the time there was a lot of strength coaches, there's a lot of conditioning specialists. There wasn't really anybody teaching running and sprinting. And I got an opportunity to work with USA Rugby right before the Olympics. Like this is 2014, so a year and a half, 18 months before the Olympics, and build out a year and a half plan to make athletes faster for the Olympics. And it was cool. It was a little pressure because we weren't very good at the time. And the coach was all bought into speed, and I didn't really know what I was doing, but I had these really smart guys down at the Olympic Training Center. Like I would bump into Ralph Mann and bumped into Dan Paff a couple of times. And I didn't know who they were at the time. I was like, they're older guys. They probably know what they're talking about. Come to find out, they're like the smartest people in the world and speed. But I was able to bump into them and kind of learn. And, I was really under fire to produce, and that pressure helped me start my coaching career. So I did that, did the Olympic side for a couple of years. My recommendation, if you want to get into the Olympic side, is like have another job, because I was broke as hell and it was not fun. So that's 5 years, boom. So that's half my career. And then I get out of that and I'm like, all right, I want to make money. So I dive into the NFL combine side of things like right away. And I just email every single agent. Like I found this database at every agent's email, and some of them would hit me back like, how'd you get my email? Like, they were not trying to hear from me, but I got one to send me a guy. He was like, look, Les, I can't pay you anything, but like, here, you can have a guy that's never going to make it. And I was like, cool. Well, that guy made it, and he definitely made it, and he won a couple of Super Bowls, and he's, still in the league. But I took that, flipped that into couple more guys the next year, a couple more, to the point now it's like we had I don't even know now, I think 12 first rounders over the past couple years. But yeah, it's been cool. A couple number one picks, which is not that relevant for the podcast, but it's cool. It, to be honest, it has nothing to do with your coaching ability. It's marketing. I could have,
clout.
It is what it is. But anyway, and then I was like, this is fun, but I want to make an impact. And that's where the business side came in, where I was like, okay, I want to create a business. I don't want to just help people go from $10 million to $30 million. I want to help kids, and I want to help people grow, and I want to influence people. And that's where I'm at now. So
I love it.
That was my 3 minute. I don't know how long that was. 3 minutes probably.
No, that was good. That was good. That was like 4 minutes. So I want to talk more about the youth stuff later, because I'm fascinated by that. But I want to actually go back before, like let's start at the beginning. what got you into like physical preparation in the first place, right? Like what got you into working out, running track, all that good stuff?
Yeah, like I was actually a pretty average athlete. Like I wasn't in high school. I played sports because my friends played sports, and it was like, well, that's what you do after school, And it wasn't like I'm taking this serious. I never practiced on my own like that, One sport I was serious about growing up was boxing, but I wasn't too ambitious on what I could do. And I didn't really believe in myself. But when I was 17 and I had that car accident and broke my femur, like doctors were like, dude, like running is not possible. Like you're kind of stuck here. Like we can't help you. And I became super motivated at that point to dive into the research of how athletes move and how athletes prepare. And I got into that, which got me into Division I program because I was just working, doing pool workouts, looking at Charlie Francis's stuff at the time. It was 2007,
Yeah.
So I was diving in, like really for myself. Like I didn't really care about helping other people at that time. It was like I just wanted to be the best athlete I could be. And then as I was growing, I was like, man, I need a better environment. So I started studying like college football environments, soccer environments. And then, even when I was like initially working with the rugby team, like I was still trying to be an athlete, like a little bit. Like in my mind, I was like, I'll probably just coach for a little bit, then come back. So a lot of the information I was going and seeking was like for myself to get faster and better. And in exchange, I was just like teaching it. But at a certain point, it switched over to completely like, man, like this is awesome. Like you can actually go and read something, take some notes, and then go apply it in the same day and help somebody's career. Like this is awesome. Yes. Like this is what I want to do the rest of my life. So yeah.
I love it, man. Well, obviously you're known for speed. That's what I want to talk to you about today. And really I want to focus on acceleration because I'm fascinated by acceleration. I work with tons of like field and court sports. And I think one thing that I always like to start with is a mental model for movement, right? So whether it's a squat, a lunge, a deadlift, it helps our athletes understand how a movement should look or feel. So to begin, would you just start by giving us a breakdown of your acceleration model? Like what are the big rocks or how do you explain it to a new athlete?
Yeah, well, starting with the beginning, like what is acceleration? It's interesting because if you ask that question, even amongst the coach community, probably get a couple different answers. Like some people will say, well, it's 20 yards, it's 10 yards. It's not a distance, and it's not. It's really just change in velocity. So understanding like how your change in velocity is in relation to time. And really good accelerators can change their velocity fast, like Tyreek Hill. Poor accelerators might be somebody that's like, I don't know, like think of a distance runner trying to build up and hit top speed. Like that's poor acceleration. So it's like the simplest way to think about it is like, how do I reach my top speed? So acceleration is everything up until the moment of top speed. And you could probably get technical on that, like what percentage, whatever, but it's sure. Basically everything building up to top speed. And what I'm particularly interested in is how athletes reach that top speed, not so much exactly what their top speed is. So to give you context, I work with players all the time where they're in the NFL, they're on year 6, and I am not trying to make their speed go from 21 to 22 miles per hour. Like that would be great, but that's not like 100% of my focus. My focus will be accessing their ability to accelerate well. And if you look at a game, you might see 60 accelerations in a game. And a lot of those are there's like a good percentage of those that are maximal accelerations in a game. So it's something that happens frequently throughout sports. Now, if you run track, acceleration looks different than if you play soccer or play basketball, all those sports. But if you look at what a game is, you look at the volume of accelerations we have in a game, you have to think about how do I prepare for that sheer volume? And then how do I prepare for the intensity of it? So how aggressive are they? So I became particularly interested in breaking the acceleration phase down into several components. And the easiest way to explain it is there's an early acceleration. So early acceleration is going from very low speed, and it's initial. It's like, how do I initially accelerate? And think about like sport like basketball or tennis. This becomes particularly important. And it's also something that's extremely highly trainable, because it's a stimulus that if you just provide resistance on, then it's one of those things you provide resistance on that, on the body to accelerate early. And, you do that over a couple of weeks, you're going to improve that ability. You're going to get strength in the horizontal vector. So
Sure.
I think it's really cool. The next phase I look at is late acceleration. So late acceleration is like, I'm going from that initial phase, like the end of that initial phase, and I'm moving into my velocity. And this is something, if you look at a sport like soccer, you see an athlete accelerate to beat a single defender, and then they go to that next level when they transition to from midfield into maybe the 18 box. Like they're accelerating into that, continuing to climb in velocity. Or think about a receiver like Odell Beckham that beats a defender one-on-one and then continues to accelerate past the secondary, right? So that becomes particularly important too. And that's another easily trainable thing where you can have a light resisted, medium resisted stimulus for the athlete, and they can improve, or you can have power exercises, whatever. And then you have your velocity phase. So that's like, as you're reaching into that velocity, how do you manage it, right? So I look at it from two standpoints. There's a physical requirement, like there's a physical, a physical bucket that you could fill to improve acceleration. And then you have a technical bucket that you can improve acceleration. And a lot of times when I look at Twitter or YouTube, I try not to, but you see a lot of people that are like, it's one or the other. Like it's only technical, put your foot here, do this. And then you have the other group that's like, just lift and do this, right? And everyone's right, but it's a combination of all things. And you fill different buckets at different times. So that was a long-winded answer. But yeah, that's what I think. Yeah. So
no, I love it. And I get frustrated in that too, because I think people like to really look at things through like a very narrow lens or scope. But if you're in coaching, right, your job is to get a result. And so I'm not just going to focus on just the technical piece or just the physical piece. I'm going to look at all of those constituent parts and I'm going to hammer all of them, because again, it's about getting a training result, right? It's not about being right or wrong. It's like, hey, I'm going to take these 5 things and work on all of them if it's going to get me the result that I want.
Exactly. Yep. So
I love it. As far as like coaching cues, things of that nature, are there things that you constantly like come back to or rely on that work well for you when you're coaching acceleration?
Yeah. I mean, like everything is borrowed. So like I hear other people say things. I'm gonna try that and come up with a few things. I mean, really, like acceleration is just about being violent and aggressive. And if you can relate it to boxing. For me, like growing up as a boxer, like kind of relate everything back to that. So you'll probably hear like 5 references, but
that's cool.
In boxing, you can't think and be aggressive at the same time. So if I'm thinking a lot, it's hard for me to throw the punches and just let it go. Like you kind of have to just let it happen and just push and just know you're going to be aggressive. So I always start there. Second thing is like you really want to project yourself into space. So obviously you don't want to project yourself straight up. You don't want to project yourself straight down. You want to find an optimal projection angle, which is going to be pretty specific to your power strength levels. But projection is a huge one. And then I love the word retraction. I don't know who said it first. I might have stolen it from Jonas or someone else, but retraction is a word that I like because it really, you're talking about retracting that thigh back into the ground and making these powerful strikes into the ground. And being able to project yourself forward continuously by this retraction hitting the ground. Yeah, I mean, I don't use a lot, and to be honest, like I try to keep most of the coaching on the drills. So if we do drills, we don't do a ton, but if we do 4 or 5 drills, I keep the coaching there, and then when they run, I let them run, and whatever they've learned and expressed from what I was teaching in the drill portion, they're going to express. And if I didn't do a good job, they're not going to express it at all. So I judge myself based around that. But yeah, I don't have a ton of cues,
Well, but that makes sense because you just said like it's hard to be violent and aggressive if you're thinking about stuff, right? So that was going to
Yeah.
kind of be my next thought was like, okay, where are you getting those cues in? Where are you developing the technique? And if you're building that out in the drills, right, and you're doing a good job there, then it should hopefully carry over when they're doing like the time sprints, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like you want to build a really healthy, robust, microdose like drill group. So like I'm constantly drilling these things over and
Yep.
over until they're just like until they become just a part of them. And it doesn't have to be a lot of drills. You could pick 4 or 5. Like I talk to Stu McMillan like all the time, and he's like, take those drills out, and I'm like, yeah, like I definitely keep trying, and I'll take them out, and I'm like, yo, you're right, and then I come back to a couple. So like the goal would be to remove the drills, and he's 100% right. Like
Yes.
you don't want to become a drill program, you want to be a sprint program, but the drills provide
Right.
context. And when I have athletes for 4 to 6 weeks at a time, it's like you got to kind of come back to the basics. So yeah,
No, I think that's super valuable. And like you said, sometimes unless they're just naturally world class at acceleration, in which case you probably don't need to coach them that much anyways. A lot of the guys that are coming to you, that's part of why they're there, right? They need to rebuild some of those foundational skills so that hopefully they can leave and they're faster when they leave you, right?
yeah, exactly.
Very
So
cool. Very cool. So something that I love about you is you've coached across all these different sports, right? Soccer, football, rugby. Are you coaching acceleration differently? I know you talked about like different phases, right? Early versus late acceleration. Maybe you're not seeing a lot of top end in basketball, but across sports, how are you maybe coaching acceleration differently?
yeah, it's a good question. It's not too different, to be honest. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of like how are you teaching the clean different for football players versus rugby players versus soccer? It's the clean. Like it's an
Right.
exercise and it has a lot of transfer if you do it correctly and if you load it and progress it. And sprinting is pretty similar. Now what changes in that is the volume of work that we might do. So like the volume of
Mm.
work that we do for soccer is a little bit different than the volume of work that we do for football. It's a little bit different than the volume of work we do for tennis. And then the intensities that you're going to touch, like, are we gonna spend a lot of time around 100%, 95 to 100% zone in basketball and soccer? Probably not. Like, we'll probably just touch on minimal effective dosages. But for soccer and football, I might have to get a decent amount of volume in that zone because if I look at a game, I might touch that zone for 50 to 100 yards every game.
Yeah.
So I need to build a big reserve, like more than that, in the off season, so that when I get to the season, I can handle that stress. So, but when it comes down to like the teaching, like I'm going to teach you how to accelerate, right? I'm going to teach you how to run it at velocity. Not really. It's all relatively the same, and it's like my mom is an artist, right? And
Yep.
she paints oil on canvas, and she's done it for, man, 50 years, right?
Oh,
And
wow.
she's incredible. But my mom always tells me there's only 5 colors, and those
Mm.
5 colors can become this like amazing painting, or it could look like my artwork, which is terrible. Or my daughter's. My daughter just the stick figure with like the single strand for the hair or whatever.
Right.
So the artistry comes into getting specific and down to first is like which phase are you in? I'm training soccer. Okay, am I off season? Am I in season? Am I preseason? Am I postseason? Right, and then second, you're looking at the demands of the game. So I do an analysis of every team I work with, and I understand how they play the game. So like, what kind of volumes do I see? Or do I see a lot of accelerations or not a lot? Do I see a lot of high speed or not a lot of high speed? And distances that are covered in those zones, and then work backwards to say like, okay, this is how we need to fill the buckets of like how much speed work you're actually doing, and volumes and all that stuff. And this is what I want to, this is what I'm proposing is that we start the off season with a percentage of that total volume, and we progress towards that percentage. And at one point during the off season, we're going to go over that percentage, and then we're going to come back down, and then we're going to maintain it. And it's that simple. It's that
Yeah.
simple. So, yeah.
And how low do you start? I mean, does that just depend on the athlete and their level of fitness? Like, how low are you starting on this percentage? It probably depends on the athlete and how
Yeah,
long you have them too, right?
it depends because it like just
Yeah,
a easy like I might start at 50% of the sprint distance that they cover on averaging
sure.
during their games. So, um, I work with a couple college teams and really like take the sprint distance variable across season average of games that they play, like pretty much a whole game. Start at 50% of that, progress at 10% per week.
Yeah,
That's like I mean, that's like so general. It doesn't
yeah,
ever end up that sexy, but
right,
that's like general is like I want to progress my sprint volumes. Also depends what you did in the phase before and et cetera. But
sure.
I want to start at a percentage of that max. But I think about the goal is the game, and the goal is to be really good at the game. And unless you're doing track and field, and we could talk about that separate, but
Yeah,
I want to understand what are your demands, and then how far away are you from that game, and then I can kind of fill in a calendar of like, okay, well, we know we need to hit the basics, which is we need to touch near max velocity. We need to fill a certain bucket of sprint distance. We know we need to touch on this acceleration ability. And then if I'm far away from competition, I'm probably going to profile you so I understand, okay, this is exactly how you accelerate, how you reach top speed and how fast you are. And I can kind of be specific on some of the things you're weak at, but then it quickly goes into here's the demands of the game. And there's a point where you have to flip from I'm trying to increase the speed, I'm trying to increase how fast you are into I'm trying to prepare you for the game. I'm trying to prepare
yep,
you for what you're going to experience in this match. Like, yeah, like, okay, we didn't reach our goal of 22 miles per hour. Is that going to make you score more goals? It probably could, but it's an indirect transfer. Will you being able to cover this amount of distance at high speed help transfer to a game? Absolutely. Because if you
yep,
can't cover that and you're not prepared for that, then you're going to experience something that's not optimal. It's either poor performance. I hate to say it's going to cause injury because that's not always true, but something's
right,
going to happen, right? You're not going to feel great
sure.
going from 15% volume to 100% or 15% intensity to 100% intensity. Like your body doesn't love that. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I always talk about trying to smooth those transitions as much as possible, right?
yeah,
If you got to cram it all into 4 weeks, probably not going to be great. If you can stretch that over 3 or 4 months, those transitions are going to be a lot smoother. One
yeah,
other thing too that I'm impressed by with you is you talk about different sports. I think one of the hardest parts, the constituent parts of how to accelerate, right? You can
hmm,
teach anybody how to accelerate, but part of it too, when you go across sports, is learning how to make it relatable or
yeah,
use the language in that sport, right? So going from football to soccer to tennis, you would think, oh, it's acceleration across all of them. Yeah, but how you create context and help them understand it is different when you move across those sports. So how have you, because you probably didn't play all of those growing up, right? How did you go in and kind of learn some of that to make yourself relatable?
yeah. And honestly, it's like asking more questions. Like I'm,
Yeah.
I love podcasts, but it's hard for me because I do all the talking. But I really like listening when it comes to this type of stuff. So I actually ask a lot of questions of the athletes. But the thing is like I don't want my athletes to be good at drills. I don't want them to be good at getting like, to certain speeds. I want them to be good at the game. So I
Yeah.
ask them in the context of the game. So when they're like, I need to get faster, and I'm like, okay, what's your goal? I want to hit 21 miles per hour. I'm like, no, no, no. Like you just heard that on the internet. Like now
Right.
give me an example of what you're talking about. And they're like, well, okay, so I'm a receiver. I get past my defender and I beat my defender every time, but then I get caught from behind. Okay, cool. That's good context. So let's get better at that. Now I can provide the context of like the physical needs that you need. Like we got to be able to accelerate past like the initial whatever. Like you got to be able to accelerate late into your run. You got to be able to hit a higher velocity. You got to be able to, and I could fill those buckets. But what happens is that as this is becoming more popular, there's athletes out there that are like, if I just hit 22, my whole game will change. I'll make it to the NFL. I'll do this. I'll do like I hit 22 now. NFL teams are gonna start calling me, right? Like, not necessarily. Like, there's not a direct transfer. So I try to have those conversations. I actually mentor this 12-year-old soccer player named Anjali, and she's like mind blowing, like mind blowing. She's probably the smartest athlete I've ever worked with. But I asked her, I'm like, so you want to get faster? She's like, yes, coach. And I'm like, okay, what does that mean? She's like, after my first touch on the ball, I need to be able to get past the defender and get, come down the wing and then make a cross. And I struggle with that period. Okay, let's get better at that. And that's it. Like, try to keep it in the context of what they want to get better at. And then we provide the context of, the physical traits it takes to get there. And then even when teaching, like, my goal every session, it never happens. I've never done this, but my goal is always to come in there and just say nothing. Like, I'm just going to say nothing. But I try to approach it with that mindset of like, I'm only going to talk when it's necessary. So if you come to my session, anybody listening, you'll probably be a little bit underwhelmed because you're expecting for me to like talk how I am on Instagram. But like what they do on a marketing team on Instagram does is just take the 6 times that I might have talked and they put them all together and it just looks like I'm talking the whole time. But
right.
I try to, it's great, but I try to attack it from the standpoint of like, I want to just go in there and not intervene unless I have to, and then make small interventions, but make them physical based as much as possible, providing context. And then we could just start to attack the technical pieces from there. So, I don't know if that answers the question, but yeah.
No, that was great. That was great. So I want to take one more step in this direction because you mentioned track as well. Do you teach acceleration differently between your field court athletes and your actual track sprinters? And if so, how do you do that?
Yeah, I'm actually, I don't have a lot of track people anymore. Like I definitely help out here and there. When I was coming up, so I was at the Olympic Training Center. And I had a group of girls at the time that were like unreal. Like I had them since 12 years old. They're winning state championships. One of them's at Oregon. She's been in, I think she got 4th in nationals this year, but monster, right? And at the time I was coaching track because I was at the Olympic Training Center. I could use the track and I was getting advice from the USA track and field staff. But I'm not by any means a track coach. And I'm probably poor at it. It's a sport it's a whole sport. It's not just like teaching acceleration. It's an actual sport and it needs to be respected that way. It's like, you can't just hop in because you know a couple speed things. But yeah, if I were to coach more track, I would teach it, a little bit different because the start is probably, a larger percentage of it. It is a larger percentage of, their success is being able to start from blocks. It's a whole different skill. And there's other context in there because you have to react to a gun and then you have to race other people and there's no other stimulus. Like there's no ball in there. There's no, you're not doing it 30, 50, 60 times and you're doing it once or twice. So there's a completely different context to the demands of the sport, which is significantly different. And I don't mean this disrespectfully, but you can't just learn what you know about speed and then try to apply it to track because it's a whole other beast. It's like when I talk to Stu, I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about sometimes because I don't have a lot of knowledge in tracking. Like I wasn't very good at track either. So it's a completely different thing. But like in context, there are physical buckets you still would fill. Like I think doing resisted running is helpful. I think the track community was resistant to that for a period of time until they saw other people do it and they started to win, and it's great. And then you have assisted and overspeed, and that's another hot topic that people are like, overspeed is bad. Look at who's winning medals and they're doing it, but within the context, like they're technically a little bit better than your average like soccer girl that's running. So there's a time and a place for those types of things, and it is a more advanced exercise. Like you don't just have your 12-year-old doing snatches overhead day one. Like there's a progression to that.
Sure.
And then just understanding from the demand that, you're running past 6 seconds. So it's no longer just a galactic and it's no longer just sprint power stuff. Like there's a speed endurance component to it, a speed maintenance component to it. There's a highly technical point to it. I think at Fast University and I talked about this at one point because I said something like, the technical isn't as important, but I was speaking more to field sports, and the opposite is true in track. Like he was right in track and field. You have to, you're not winning a medal without being in the top percentage technically. Like you're not going to be able to produce the right forces in the ground. You're not going to be able to maintain your speed past a certain point. So it's a completely different thing that I am terrified to go into because I don't think I'll be very good. So I would have to learn a lot more and, do a lot more to be able to coach track, even at a high school level. So
it's a different animal, right? It's a different animal. My daughter ran track for a year, and I learned really quickly, like, this is another level compared to just teaching field court sport athletes how to get faster.
For sure. Yeah. Go ahead. Yep.
No. So I got one more acceleration question, and I'm just thinking like young athlete listens to this show, new coach listen to this show. What are some of the biggest mistakes that athletes make in their acceleration? And doesn't have to be a drill, but either a drill or, something that's going to help them clean that up. What are the biggest mistakes that you see young athletes making?
Yeah, biggest mistake is just not doing it. Like you can't get better at it if you don't do it. So it's one of those buckets. Like everybody understands that you got to hit a certain percent of your max speed weekly, right? But no one's really talking about maximally accelerating, and that's kind of left at what it is. And JB Moran talks about it a ton. If you don't maximally accelerate throughout a season, that ability declines, and that affects your health and it affects your performance. So I think the biggest thing is just not doing it. Like you can't go broke making a profit. So you touch on it, you're going to make a profit. It's not hard to do. Go out and run hard and accelerate, or run resisted, or run up a hill. Throw something, run after it. Like it's not complex at all. And it's actually really interesting to me. Like, when I first started talking about this stuff on the internet, I was like, why is this popular? Like everyone's doing it. It's not, it's not rocket science. It's not too different than what anyone else is saying. But the frequency matters, and you got to motivate people to want to go out and do those things on a consistent basis, because most people look at things as like, okay, speed is an off-season thing that we build, and then we come back to it in the next off-season. Well, it's a 12-month calendar, and it's weekly, and it's actually, you need to touch on it multiple times a week, and especially if you're not practicing a ton, like you need to go out and create an artificial session where you go out and do speed training, and you work on those qualities. So I don't think, like, from a technical perspective, like, you see athletes, like, they may not have the best technique, but they can be powerful. So I think it's a quality that if you just continue to do, you'll get better at. And I'm less on the side of like people are putting their foot in the wrong place type thing. Like they'll figure it out if they do it more. It's just You go out and shoot free throws. Day one, you might miss 8 out of 10. And you do it every day, you're going to make like 9, 10 eventually. And same thing for running. It's just people aren't practicing enough, and that's it.
To get better at it.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay. So shifting topics slightly, and I realize this is a big question, so I'm going to apologize in advance. It's really 2 parts. Number one, I would love for you to talk a little bit about force velocity profiling on somebody's sprint performance and how you do that. And then number two, for somebody that's not familiar with this, how do you take that information and use it to write a better training program?
Wow. Let me take a sip of my coffee here.
That's right. You got to get ready for this one, man.
All right. So first, the research from JB Moran, Pierre Samazino, all those guys is unreal. It's unbelievable that I still don't know how humans are so smart, because I struggle, man. I'm like, I struggle. It takes me years to understand things. But anyway, force velocity profiling is an extremely useful tool, and it's also a very flawed tool, and it's a very misunderstood tool. And the reason why is that the force velocity profile is basically analyzing how an athlete produces force at the beginning, horizontal force at the beginning of a sprint, Then it's analyzing that decline in horizontal force as velocity increases. So within the equation, the most important piece is that you're able to detect the initial movement. So if I'm using timing gates and I have a hand start and I wait for my eye to observe movement and I press the button, that delay right there, 0.12 on average, is going to throw off your force velocity profile, and it's going to make it very inconsistent. So if I'm testing and I do 10 trials, there's going to be a lot of variability within those trials because of my human error. And because I'm going to do, and Mladen wrote a really good article on it. And so that's the first thing, is that you have to understand that the test itself is flawed, and all models are flawed, but they're all useful. So if you're not testing correctly, like Vauld has some new timing gates that are really good, where you can do an in-beam start and catches the first movement. If you're using 1080, that's really good. And I'm not trying to sell products to you. I'm just telling those are the products you can do this on. And if you don't have those products, it's not necessarily going to be the best tool for you. And if you can do it in your environment, then great. I mean, we've done everything from embed it into GPS by using an API and pulling the raw and running force velocity profiling from GPS. Like, we've done that. Like, it's great. But if I'm a coach and I'm like, I don't want to spend $20,000 or $10,000 or whatever, and I just want to, it's hard to do this. And it's very hard to do. Now, there's easier ways that are coming out. Like, there's video and other pieces. I think there's an app called the MySprint app. ViewMotion is coming out with some stuff, but that's like my disclaimer, because coaches are doing it and they're telling me their 10-yard dash was like a 1:37, which is statistically impossible. And it's like, well, right. It's because you had a flying start. You had some lead in to that start. Now, the second part of this answer is that, let's say you are doing 100% correct and you have a force velocity, a capture device like a 1080, or you're using the video the right way, or whatever. Okay. Now, if you do it correctly, it becomes a very important tool, and it's something that we use pretty frequently right now to assess athletes from a physical standpoint. And really, all I'm trying to understand with a force velocity profile is I'm trying to understand how an athlete accelerates from 0 to velocity. So it's giving me like that whole picture of their acceleration curve. So if they're low force, or the low ratio of force, like ratio of horizontal force to resultant, or vertical and horizontal together, I know that they're poor at the beginning of the start. Now, every question I get, so I'm going to pause there and just go through this. Like, I always get questions on, how do I know it's poor, right? Well, there's research out there, but then you have to look into how that research collected data. Like, did they collect it with a GPS or a timing gate, or did they make a mistake? So the best thing to do is just to compare an athlete within the group that they're in. So if I'm comparing my wide receivers, I'm comparing all my wide receivers. And you can go into Z-scoring and averages and all that stuff. Won't spend time on it, but I will compare it within your population. And if you don't have a population, just compare the athletes to themselves over time, whatever. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, it's called the DRF, the decrease in ratio of force. So that number is going to tell me how fast I drop off. So if I have a big drop off, like a big negative percentage, that means that I started pretty well and I just dropped off really fast, and I didn't have that rate acceleration very well. So it's not a great tool to look at in isolation. You have to look at it in context, like, was I good in the beginning and then I dropped off, or was I bad in the beginning and then I was able to keep bad the whole time? Like, it's a good rate acceleration tool. And then velocity is just velocity. You could sum it up with the power. So force times velocity equals power. So if I wanted a single score, I could use that. So, I mean, again, there's opposing beliefs on this, and some of it is just research jargon and language. So, like, I've seen people switch out the force name to acceleration. It's the same thing. Force and acceleration are the same if you take out the body weight part of it.
Yep.
So that was the first part of the question. I'm looking at the show notes to see if I got the second part.
No. So how do you take that? Yeah. So how do you take that and apply it, right?
Yeah.
Like if you've
Okay.
got somebody that's like a low force first couple steps, how does that help you write a better program when you know that?
Yeah. So two things. So the first thing I do is force velocity, and another disclaimer. I'm sorry for if you're listening out there. Why does he have so many disclaimers? But if you don't run over 30 meters or 30 yards, it's probably not going to be a very good test because you're not reaching near maximal velocity. So 30 meters is like the minimum. Um, so I'll do a force velocity test, and I'll do a load velocity. So load velocity is I pick four loads, including just a free load. So 0%, 25, 50, and 75% body weight. And I measure the velocity at each of those loads. And then I draw a trend line. And basically what I'm looking for is what we call velocity decrements. And a velocity decrement is a percent reduction in maximal velocity. So if I have a 50% velocity decrement, that is a 50% reduction in speed. If I have a 25% reduction in speed, that means I'm running 75% of my speed, right? So we look for these velocity decrements. And what I'll do is I take the force velocity profile, and I'm either good or bad, early, mid, or late, and or early, late in velocity, however you want to spin it.
Yeah.
So if I'm bad in the early part, then I want to provide a heavier load, like a 50% velocity decrement. If I'm bad in the middle, then I want to provide a medium load, like 25 to 10%. And if I'm bad at the end, but I'm good at the other parts, that means I want to provide a light or assisted stimulus. So, and you look at it in order of priority is like you look at it from left to right. I want to be good at horizontal force. And if I'm not, and I hit a high velocity, start at the force part. And if I'm not good at anything, start at the force part, right? So always starting there and checking your boxes as you go. But that's typically how we use it. And again, like when I first read the research, I probably jumped the gun a little bit to go just say everybody should do it because I wasn't taking into account that everybody wasn't using 1080 or the right collection methods, and gotten some Twitter wars about it. But there's people are right on both sides because if you're not collecting correct data, then that is an issue and that is a problem, and you have to address that. So, yeah,
very cool.
I had to sip my coffee for that one.
No, I understand. All right, next, give me some insights into the universal speed rating. Talk to me about that, man.
For sure. Thank you for asking. It's funny, man. Like I get laughed at in my business because I try not to like sell things and talk about my business on podcasts. Like that's the whole point of a podcast. I'm like, yeah, but like, like as a listener of podcast, I listen to podcasts all day. I'm like, I don't really want to know about everyone's business. I kind of just want to know what you're talking about. So, but it's funny. But anyway, so I started out this. I'm going to tell like a funny story here because this is ridiculous. But when I started Spellman Performance, I named it Spellman Performance because I was getting a lease done and I was getting this new space and I was buying this gym. I was basically started my gym business, right? And the guy who's the landlord is like, yo, what's your business name? I was like, oh shoot, I don't have a business name. But I didn't say that out loud. I was like, Spellman Performance. And I just said it. And he was like, oh, okay. And he wrote it down. And I was like, man, why did I say my last name? So anyway, that's how I started. So that's why I became Spellman Performance because I had to give him a name. So I created the LLC, did all that. And like, I mean, honestly, like I really just thought I was going to be like a private training business the rest of my life. Like I love private training. It was easy. I'm in California. I don't even need a facility most of the time because it's 75 degrees. I don't check the weather ever. So I just go outside and train or whatever. And I was like, that's going to be my life. So I could just be selling performance. I'm not going to have employees. So then I started to get like trainers under me and they were like, oh, we should change the name. And I was like, yeah, I'm down. Like, what do you guys want to change it to? But we never got around to changing it because I ended up getting rid of the gym because I hated it after a couple of years. Like I was like, all right, I don't see my friends. Like I'm in here 18 hours a day. I'm spending 80% of my time mopping floors and cleaning bathrooms. I'm out. Right. And I left and I went to, Kobe Bryant. His birthday was yesterday, RIP. And, I was up there at Mamba and I was doing that and that was great. And, it came to a point where I was like, I kind of want to start my own thing and then partner with you guys. And they were like, cool. Like, and we still have that partnership with Sports Academy. But, and when I did that and I was like, I'm going to do my own thing, I got an investor for the first time. And, he was like, all right, so let's do this. What do you want to do? I was like, well, I don't want to do a gym and I don't want to mop floors and I just had all these don't. He's like, okay, well, what do you want to do? And I was like, I want to build a software platform. He's like, okay. And then he he went and he talked to all his friends and he's like, all right, well, you have one big problem here. I said, what's that? He's like, it's your last name. The business is your last name. Like what,
Yeah.
he's like, think about it. He's like, think about it this way. Like, if I don't like you and I'm a coach and you have a good product, I'm not going to buy your product because it's your name and it's your last name. And I'm like, okay, but I'm following you somewhat. And then he's like, also, like, do you want to be the person that picks up the phone every single time when someone has a question? I'm like, no, absolutely not. Right. So we started this path to create universal speed rating, which originally at the time was like, I wanted to create this database of like every athlete in the world of how fast they are. So I could provide context to, gender specific, like how fast am I if I'm a girl, if I'm a boy, if I'm 14, if I play soccer, like start collecting data. And we actually got a lot of headway, like 30,000 data points in there, something like that. And, it was really cool, really, really cool. And, originally when we launched it, like I didn't tell anybody that it was mine. And like now, I guess now I'm starting to be more open about it. But, there's a point in every startup business where you raise money, you build a product, and then there's a lag period between you're building the product that you really want to build and you have to bring in revenue in the door. And the toughest part as a coach is like trying to provide value in that time period. So what we did was as we're building the platform into what we want it to be, which eventually will be like everything from computer vision to data to like AMS style stuff, like it's going to be awesome. So what we did is in between is we created something called Speed Labs, because we're like, look, like it's hard for us to provide a huge value to coaches in the community without having like this big raise in the software build out and this time, right? So for Speed Lab, which is under Universal Speed Rating, was a place where gyms and facilities around the country can basically use the software that we're building into Universal Speed Rating. So like you could use the force velocity and the load velocity. You could get more insights on how athletes reach peak speed and how they accelerate in the beginning of the sprint, and also programming. And here's what you do, and here's what you say, and here's the cues, and here's a drill list, and we can help you with your business and your marketing. It was all these things that we used to build our system in the beginning. And my initial goal was like, this changed my life. I was able to have, I'm getting married, I'm having kids, like all these things. Like I want this for coaches because our community is hurting right now. Like, I mean, people are listening to podcasts right now with an intention of learning more, to make more money, to move up. Right. And I was always thinking about it. I'm like, man, that was like, it was really hard for me. I got super lucky finding the right guy at the right time. I trained his son. He invested. He helped me. He built my thing. And I'm like, how do I help other people? Because coaches are getting divorced left and right. They're not in their kids' lives. Like they're coaching. Think about this. They're coaching kids every single day, and they're not spending time with their kids. And I'm like, dude, this is wrong, man. Like, how do we help people systemize their business? Because this whole like speed business, training business is brand new. It's like, I mean, it's as old as me. I'm 34, and we don't know the impact of the lifestyles that we're living until we all, they play the infomercial. Like if you coach between 2012 and 2024, you can get $1 million, like, because it's going to be like that, because there's so much negative stuff that's happening in our industry. It's toxic. You're working all day in the sun. You're working all day in a gym. You're like, there's so many health effects, adverse effects that are impacting coaches right now we may not see for 10 years. And I became really passionate about, and I'm getting off track, but I'm getting really passionate about helping those coaches systemize the things that they shouldn't spend time on. You shouldn't spend time in spreadsheets 6 hours a day trying to figure out how fast someone's going to be in 2 years. I want to do that. And I'm building a business around that. So I come from the standpoint of like, I want business. If I'm going to do a business, I want it to help people, and I want it to spread light, and I want it to make people excited. I don't want to sell a product that's just like, hey, just turn it over and it just makes money, whatever. So that's what Speed Lab was. And that was a long-winded way of saying that we're
Yeah.
building the goal platform on universal speed rating. But initially we're trying to provide value, and we're coming at it from the perspective of like, coach, tell me what you want. Okay, I can figure out a way to build that short term, and I'll have a long term way of building it. So yeah, it's interesting, man. But yeah, that it's not. It's always uncomfortable for me to talk about the business side, but it's
Yeah.
I know it's important, so I appreciate that.
It is. It is. And especially having such a powerful message, right? Like you said, it's not about you going out there and like printing money. Like, yeah, the goal is to make money, but you're helping a lot of people along the way. So
Yeah, yeah,
respect,
for
man.
sure.
Okay. So I think this is going to kind of go hand in hand. But one thing that I'm really intrigued by is somebody such as yourself, you could probably fill your day with professional athletes, Olympians, that sort of thing. But I see all over your social and all over your website, like you're still out there coaching young athletes. What keeps bringing you back to kids?
Yeah, it's I get that question a lot. Like, why don't you just post the pro guys you're working with at the con? I'm like, man, it's about development. It really is, because like sports saved my life in a lot of ways. It was a way for me to channel like some of the anger I was experiencing when I was younger, and some of the things I was going through. It gave me a family, gave me a culture, took me around the world, got me in, you know what I'm saying? Like it changed my life. So like
Yeah.
I'm about my understanding what the impact of my experience was in my life, and I try to duplicate that every day for someone else in some form or fashion. And I'm really passionate about the younger generation. If you look at, and I'm a complete like, yeah, I could go left on this podcast and go down another 3 hour rabbit hole on this, but the environment for kids right now is really tough. Like with social media, and it's another one
Yeah.
of those things where we won't see the impact of some of the things that are happening now for 10 years, and then that little infomercial comes across your screen at night, and it's like, hey, if you were on Instagram between this time and this time, like you're, you know, you
Yeah.
can get some money. But there's a lot of different things that they're exposed to and facing. And it, like without going into detail, like the world is becoming, it's hard. It's just hard to raise kids, that we talked about before this
Yeah.
podcast, but
Yeah.
it's becoming a really difficult place to grow up. And I'm learning, and I'm a dad, and I'm about to have another kid. So like I'm learning this world, but the one thing that is, always going to be stable and kind of the same is sports, and it's relationships, and it's teaching, it's coaching. It's like these things will always be the same, and it's always going to be the same process to get better. And obviously technology will change some things. Like it might be easier in 10 years than it is now, but it's going to be comprised of the same kind of things. Like, you know, consistent training, consistent communication, consistent leadership. Like those are things that make you successful. And I care way more about that than the pro guys that I work with. And to be honest, like you work with pro guys for 2 years, and in that 2 years, they're going to work with 30 different people, you know? And it's like,
Right.
you're just,
Yeah.
you're just one of the guys. Like there's only a
Yeah.
few guys where I could say like, I'm the only person. Like, and I don't even encourage that, to be honest. And, here's how I live my life. And this is probably something I haven't said on a podcast before, but the reason why I do the elite side and I do the pro side and work with teams is so that I learn, and I learn at a very fast rate, because within those environments there's a lot of really smart people. So like
Yeah.
if I work with a guy and he's like, oh yeah, my strength coach told me to do this, I'm like, oh, what's his number? And then I call him, hey coach, yeah, it's really nice to meet you. My name's Les. Like I'm just trying to help here, and all of a sudden that turns into a 10-year relationship where we're talking every day, you know, and that's what I look for, because I'm learning from that, and I'm taking that information and I'm coming back down to the youth, and I'm like, hey, this works at the pro level, and we're going to do an aspect of that. Like in our academy, for example, like we do a CMJ on Monday and Monday and Tuesday, if you're on the Monday track or Tuesday track, and we look at braking variables, propulsive variables, landing variables, and asymmetries. And then that determines what our week is. And then we look at your acceleration. So we do like a 10 pretty much every week. And then on Thursday, we look at your NORD board, and we look at your asymmetries there and the force output, and we do a fly sprint. And we track that every week for every kid. And they're 12 years old to, like, we got,
that's amazing.
In our middle school, we got 200 kids, and they're doing that every single. Now imagine the impact, like, and this is probably something I could talk about more, but we had like 20 kids over 20 miles per hour in our middle school program. Wow. And we had kids hitting 22, 23. We had a kid win the state championship the year after leaving our middle school and going in ninth grade in high jump. Like, how are these things? But the truth, it's like, it's very easy stuff. Like, I just gave you our whole program in one sentence, but it's like that stuff works at the pro level. It's going to work at that, like doing a CMJ and doing a 10, 0 to 10, and doing a NORD board and a fly 10 from a 20-yard build. Everybody can do that. It's super easy. And just track it all year. And you see this. Well, what is this? That's fatigue, and that's response. And so I'm super passionate, and I love watching kids light up when they win a championship or they get that college offer, or recently I had a kid who won a Super Bowl that was in my middle school program, and I'm like that's crazy. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I've worked with 57 Olympic athletes. Out of those 57, there's like 3 that were in my high school program and several that were in my development program. And it's like, you watch these people grow up, and I'm going to the games, their family, they're coming, I'll be in their wedding, they're coming to my wedding. They know my kids call them auntie, uncle. Like, I love it. Yeah. So that's awesome. That's my world, Yeah.
No, I respect that, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Big question time, my guy.
Yeah,
if you could alter the space-time continuum and give young Les Spellman one piece of advice, what would it be?
Whoa. Probably don't rush and be patient. And I think I was rushing, but I had a lot to prove. I had a really hard, like 17 to 19 was really hard for me. Nearly losing my life to going through some other stuff, and being halfway homeless. And so my goal, I was embarrassed, and I wanted to prove everyone wrong, and I was rushing. And in that rushing, I missed a lot of relationships that I should have still had that I don't have anymore. And that's my biggest regret. So
dude, I think that's super common though. Honestly, in our world, like guys that are hungry, people that want to really make a mark, it's easy to be impatient, right? You want it all right now. And even if you're around the right people and they tell you, no, it's going to take time. Like, there's still that mindset of no, like they don't know, like I can do this faster. I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
You can't rush the experience. That just takes time.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, dude. Last but not least, lightning round. Now, normally I do 4 questions, but man, I put your mug up on IG the other day, and legitimately I got probably 15 I could ask, but I whittled it down to 7. Okay, so let's rock. Number 1, how did Speed City come about?
One of the guys like screamed it during training session. He was like, "Speed City." I was like, "Yep."
Yeah.
That was it. That was it. Yeah. That was
hey man, COVID. When it hits, it hits.
I was like, "That's it."
Yeah, I love it. And Speed City, that sticks out. Sticks out. Number 2, I saw you were just in Miami. How was that trip? How was Inter Miami?
Oh, it was crazy. It was so cool. Yeah. I mean, super gracious to Garrison and those guys and John letting me come in and see the facility, and man, it was so cool to Messi's been in this locker room. This is, you know what I mean? It was cool.
Yeah.
It was, and you see why they're good. It's the environment, it's the coaching staff, it's support staff. everyone's happy. You know what I mean? Like everyone's genuinely
Yes.
like smiling. Nice to meet you. Like, it doesn't matter what level they think you are. It's like great to meet the janitor. Their head coach is stopping to talk to the guy that's cleaning up the GPS vest on the ground. Hey, how you doing, man? Good to
Yeah.
see you. Well, you know what I'm saying? You have that environment. But yeah, it was cool to watch a game. My daughter's a huge soccer fan. So it was really cool to see her, be excited about that stuff. And yeah,
Yeah.
it's dope. There's a moment in
Yeah.
time I'll never forget for sure.
Yeah.
You know?
Garrison's amazing, dude. We've known each other for quite a while. We were supposed to connect when he was in Philly for cheesesteaks. So now I
Yeah,
might have to do Miami and get a Cuban or something,
he's
Gotta
such a
love the
good.
Cuban sandwich down there. He's
Yeah,
amazing.
it's crazy.
He's
And
amazing.
it's interesting in this industry. You'll find it's like, how are some people such good people? I'm
Yeah.
fascinated by that. So yeah, it was awesome to meet
Yeah.
him. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we both have young kids. Mine are a little bit older than yours. My daughter, huge U.S. women's national team soccer fan. So she wants to know one word you would use to describe Alyssa Thompson.
Oh man, in one word. Um, she's like Dylan's worked mostly with her, my
Yeah.
partner. And have you ever seen what's that show on Apple TV about Ted Lasso? You ever seen
Oh,
Ted
I've
Lasso?
not seen it. No, I know
Oh,
it's on my list.
you're not gonna get this one. Um,
Oh.
all right, well, it's like, so he has an assistant coach, and he's like very like direct but brilliant, but he's like
Yep.
kind of, that's Dylan. So like Dylan works with her a
Yep.
lot, and I always ask like, what's it like working with Alyssa? And he just gives me like one word answer. It's like intense. Like, okay. And he's like, yeah, she's intense. And I'm like, okay, can you elaborate? He's like, very intense. And I'm like, okay. So yeah, so she's intense. Like, but she is super confident, and
Yeah.
she's gonna be one of the best players in the world. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
that's it.
was she 18? Just already got some World Cup experience this year, so
Yeah.
it's pretty dope, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's
That's
extremely
awesome.
dope. So
Okay. Number 4. The most impressive 10-yard dash you've ever seen belong to.
I mean, John Ross for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a
easy.
hard one to beat. That's a
Yeah,
hard one to beat.
he might be the best accelerator I've ever seen. Like he is like, you ever been in a Tesla and press the gas and
Mm-mm.
like, oh man, okay, so you got two things to do.
I'm
You got
just ruining all your ananalogies, dude. I'm sorry.
Ted Lasso
I'm so
and
basic.
and Tesla.
Ted
Lasso.
Lasso and getting a Tesla.
Yeah, okay,
Okay.
work on it. So in the Tesla, you can accelerate it from any speed. So if I'm going 80, I can still press the gas like I'm going from 0. So you have this like ability to
Really?
reaccelerate at any speed. It's amazing.
Okay.
Like it's a fast car. That's John Ross. He can accelerate from any speed, which obviously
Wow.
comes with like a lot of risks. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
he can
Yeah.
accelerate from any speed. It's amazing. So
Yeah. Well, I always think of those as superpowers, right? It's like you got to
yeah,
be able to control your superpowers. His speed
yeah,
is his superpower,
yeah,
obviously.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think you're going to know who this one came from. How are you using the Hawken Dynamic force plates to peak guys for the combine?
Yeah, Drake. What up, Drake? Yeah. So yeah, we didn't know, like when we first got force plates, like we didn't really know, and I was like calling Drake every day, like, yo, man, like, what do I do here? What do I do there? So like obviously at first we're just like jump height, and, and then you start to realize like,
Yeah.
okay, it's not a great indicator. You could have the same jump height and completely different contraction time and completely different
Yeah.
eccentric phase. And so what we started to do was we started to look at propulsive net impulse, or like basically jump momentum or jump height, like how that's tracking. So we put that in a column and then overlaid it with modified RSI so we can understand like how fast they're jumping. So we understand the contraction time. And then as we were going and training, like we were looking at like certain windows we knew we had to fatigue them, and we were just monitoring how much fatigue. And we
Yeah.
would monitor that by looking at the contraction time or the eccentric duration, or understanding like, are they slowing down significantly because they're fatigued? And then
Right.
we would use that to monitor their loads throughout the week. And then, so we kept that pretty well up until the combine time. And then what we did as we got close to combine is we knew that we were pulling back on the sprint stuff. So we knew that we're not going to hit like super high speeds as frequently as we were. And then we were in Indy, so like you can't hit top speeds because you're in a limited hotel space. So we were using the modified RSI metric to understand like their readiness, and understanding like when that was high, their velocities were typically pretty high. And so we felt pretty confident going in. As they started to peak, we started to see those variables increase significantly, like 10% for some guys, 12%, 13%. So we felt pretty good. But yeah, like Drake helped me understand the phases of the jump, and really dial in like the braking side of things to understand like how, from a neuromuscular standpoint, like where they're at. And then also understanding like what are some things that might be indicators of risk. So like eccentric mean power, we found that when people were low in that quality and they started to see asymmetries pop up throughout, when we started to load them heavier. And I learned that from, I don't know if that one was from Drake. It's in my notes here somewhere, but I stole that. It might have been Mark Lewis or someone else. But, and then, we looked at like the asymmetry side of things across 3 phases. So the braking, propulsive, and landing. And if they showed, less than -1 standard deviation in those, we started to look at it. And if they showed it across all 3, then we really looked at it. And it was really cool for me as a coach. It was really good to have a system that I was using that wasn't just like my intuition. Like you kind of know, but like you want to attach something objective. Like sometimes it's like, okay, I know you're fatigued, but how fatigued are you? And then what is the next step from there? Then how do I communicate this to the athlete, to the staff? So we're able to pull guys out of training to do, plan B or plan C even. Hey, like you're all the way down to plan C, so that means pull. Or plan B is like, we're going to reduce the amount of high speed distance. So it was, Drake is awesome. So he taught me a lot. He's the man,
dude.
Yeah,
he's the man. Like he's got to get so annoyed with me because I just constantly I'm bombarding him with texts like, "Hey, dude, I was thinking about this," and so. But he's always gracious, always gives me like these really thoughtful responses. So
yeah, he really thinks.
I feel like a total noob.
I need to get better at that. Yeah, like I don't know how he knows so much. Number one, like he's probably an alien. But like, how do you respond so intentional every single time? I type 2 words. Yeah. I think when he has kids though, it'll change. So Drake, if you're listening, we'll find out. Yep.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay, 2 more. Number 1, this was somebody from IG. They said if somebody wants to intern at your spot, how do they do that?
Oh yeah. Okay. So I get that a lot. It depends. So California is very weird about interns now. So I don't do unpaid internships anymore. So I only do paid internships, and I don't do minimum wage. So it ends up being like a more, it's the internships we used to do, we bring in like 12 people per year in combine.
Sure.
And California, you can't really do the unpaid thing. So you either have to get college credit or get paid. And then if I look at it from the standpoint is like, if we're going to pay people, then it should be people we're looking to hire in positions. And it should quickly go from, because I want people to get experience, but I also want to give them a job offer at the end of it. And so we take less interns as a result of that, just so that we can, it's hard. I mean, this climate, like internships, like if you're not getting paid, it is a rough world. So we try to make sure there's a gas stipend, you're getting paid, like you're not just living on the street and all that. Like if you guys, don't let Dylan come on this podcast, because he'll just be like, man, Les made me sleep in my car. He didn't feed me. Or he'll be, like it used to be rough out here, man. But so the best way to do it is just email me, and then like let's Zoom. And then I usually start off with like a project, and it's like,
I like
read this
that.
or summarize that, and then I can understand like how you work, and it's got to be mutually beneficial. So I look at it from the standpoint of I'm trying to provide you more value than you can provide me, and that has to look like there's something you need to learn from me. And if I have consistently had these meetings and had projects and then sent interns to other places and like, yo, you'd be much better
Yeah.
here because you're trying to learn this, and like you're not going to get enough
Right.
reps at that with us. So just email me. Like I'm pretty easy to talk to when it comes to this stuff. So yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Okay, last one. What's next for Les Spellman? What are you working on? What are you excited about? Anything?
Um, I'm having a baby, so another
That's a
another
big
one,
one.
another one.
That's a big
So
one. Yeah.
yeah, honestly, man, like I get this question a lot too, and I would say I have completely shifted, like, and not going too deep into other stuff, but like I don't drink alcohol anymore. Um, Not like I drank a lot either, and not like it's a
Yeah.
bad thing if you do drink alcohol. But I've found multiple lifestyle things that I was doing that negatively impacted my mind, my sleep, all these things. So what I did over the past year was really dive in, like use Whoop and all those things, like to monitor and filled out worksheets. I was listening to what's his name? Oh man, what is his name? I forget, but basically he tracked everything in his life, and I started doing that, and I started to see trends, and I started removing things like,
Mhm.
eating past a certain time, or red meat does this, or this food does that, and
Yeah.
alcohol does. So I spent like a year really diving into myself, and it really helped me. Like my relationships improved, with my family, with my friends, with my girl, with my daughter, and I became really passionate about building my life outside of work. And so yeah, I always start with the kid thing because that really is what's next for me. Is like trying to be the best dad is number one. Number two,
Yeah.
I've gotten really, 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 really interested in correlating metrics from force plates to kinematic variables in sprinting, and looking at changes over time. And I've collected a lot of data over the past couple of years working with teams where we have like kinematic data, we have force plate data, we have GPS data, we have 1080, and it's all in. I created a athlete management system that has all that stuff inside of it. And
Yeah.
I should say I didn't create it. Dean Riddle helped me, and then Bruce helped me, and then Matt Groves helped. Like I misspoke, but we created this athlete management system that has all this data. So, when I got a break, I started diving in and seeing like when this variable changes, this variable changes. Simple one, contraction
Yep.
time is decreased, acceleration ability is decreased. Whoa. So what can that do is that the power of that is that if I monitor my jump variables, which you could do more consistently than sprint variables, what can I deduce from their sprint ability in game or in practice, and how should I monitor and change things based around that? I've
Right.
become very
Right.
passionate about that. So that's my coach brain. And then the third side, the business
Yeah.
side, um, the business side is always like changing, and startups are a lot of fun, but they will drive you insane. But what's next right now is like we're hiring a couple new people. Obviously like it's difficult in this market just because you don't know where things are going to be in a couple months, but we're hiring some people to help us build out our future, and just continuing to take care of the people that have been with me. So Dylan was my first
Yeah.
intern ever, and he's still here. Cece, I snatched from a PT clinic, and I won't let her leave. And Drew is death row for Drew. He can't leave. So just trying to build with the people we got. So
I love it. I love it. Dude, so much respect for what you're doing. Talk about being old, man. I'm like 11 years older than you.
no way.
It's cool though, man. It's
Yeah.
cool to see what you've done and what you've accomplished, man. Keep working. I'm excited for you.
I
Future is
appreciate
bright.
that.
So Les, man, it's been amazing catching up with you. I feel like we could probably talk for 2 more hours, but where can my listeners find out more about you and all the great stuff that you're working on?
Twitter is a good one, and it kind of have all the points to it. Les7 Spellman. Instagram, same thing, Les7 Spellman. What else? Probably my website, lesspellman.com or spellmanperformance.com or universalspeedrating.com. But yeah, like I'm probably the most responsive on Twitter, mainly because every time I read something, I'm like literally annoying all the researchers. Like, hey, I got a question, so I'm always on Twitter. So it just hit me. Yeah.
That's smart though, dude. I wish I would have been like that earlier, right? Like just willing to ask any question. Like that's how you get better.
Yeah.
You got to ask the right questions to the right people. It just exponentially increases how fast you learn things and the results you can get.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Just like literally ask for time, have your questions, there, send a follow up, write a letter, send a gift on a loop.
Yeah.
Like just, hey, what's your address? Send them a letter, send them, a cool picture of your kid. Like it works, man. It's crazy. The industry is small enough. In 10 years, it may not be like this because like, I'm sure like the top lawyer in the world isn't responding to the bottom lawyer in the world. Like, and I was the bottom coach in the world and I was hitting up JB and other people like teach me. And they're like, cool. Yeah, no problem. Like that's such a cool thing. So yeah, absolutely.
I love it. Well, again, Les, thank you so much for coming on, man. This has really been great.
No, I appreciate you. Thank you.